Hi and welcome to my second video about my Everyday Enchantment tarot deck and book set, which was published by Schiffer in 2018. And today I've got the cards out of the box so I can give you an introduction to them and why they look as they do. Without further ado, let's look at the card back. Well, as you can see, this is a fully reversible card back. And it is also a fully inclusive card back, which sums up the ethos of the entire deck. So we have representatives of humanity and the unseen realms and of our creature kin. And in the centre we've got an adder, which is a snake native to Britain, and almost an infinity symbol in the centre. And that was a very difficult thing to draw, that reversed adder, but I hope I've got it as close as possible, because I've put everything into making everything as good as possible. This deck took me years to create, and I really hope that that shows and that you enjoy what I've done. So moving on, let this focus. I'm still getting used to doing this, so it's not going to be the most professional video in the world, but I am really doing my best and I hope to get better and better as we go along. So firstly we have the suit of coins, and obviously that is completely transferable to any traditional deck. Let's move this out of the way so we get a bit more light on it. And because the suit of coins is of earth, I have chosen this green for the border. Now I know the borders were a contentious issue, but again I'll explain that I started creating this deck at least 5 years ago, probably a lot longer than that, and when I started the illustrations I didn't realise that I would have to leave a crop area around the edge if I wanted a card with no border. So when it came down to it, I had done a lot of work with cards that didn't have that bleeding edge around so that when they were cropped they wouldn't lose any of the information. And when I've crammed every card with so many clues and cues that I couldn't really afford to let any of that be chopped off. And sometimes, for instance here, this poor unseen being would have been partially cropped off. So I chose to have the full image but with a border. So if you're going to have a border, at least make it useful and not too intrusive into the design. And I think that it works. And before I forget, also the cards themselves are very matte, which I think is a good thing for readers, because they're not all slippery and shiny, and they also look much nicer. So we've got nice matte cards with a very small border that has a purpose, and the green obviously denotes the suit of earth and all things physical and manifest that coins represents. And because there's a lot of gold in the cards of coins, because they are coins, the green contrasts nicely with it, and aesthetically it works. So there we are for coins, and obviously next to them we've got cups, the suit of water, which quite clearly had to be blue. And although there's a lot of blue in the cards because of the wateriness of them, I think it still works well, as it's a nice bold strong blue. And with the water you've got so many different aspects, from these lovely sunny bright smiling girls to the depths of despair, because it's all about the watery emotions and the depths. And also, can you have the heights of water? I don't really know, that doesn't work, does it? But you know what I mean. It encompasses, as the tarot so beautifully does, all aspects of emotions, from despair to absolute joy and love. So there we go for cups. And the cups can be anything from a trophy to a teacup. Now moving on to wands, which is the suit of fire, passion, drive, the force behind creation really, which is summed up perfectly in the high energy Ace of Wands, with the sun rising, sort of giving all power to this woman here who's painting with her wand paintbrush. Now wands do have a great variation of depictions, because you couldn't just have ordinary everyday people clutching sticks. So they can be a spanner on the knight. The Knight of Wands is wielding a long spanner, or they can be the upright stem of a hurdle, or the support strut of a hurdle. in the 6. Anything that's basically a stick-like form in everyday life. So it took a lot of effort to think of all those things, as well as actually creating the cards, trying to seamlessly blend the wand in a way that was part of our ordinary experience, and I hope that works. And finally, talking of trying to fit them in with everyday experience, I could not have a suit of swords, because swords do not fit into our everyday experience, whereas blades do. Here's the Ace of Blades, and in this case we've got a pair of surgical scissors representing the blade in this vet's hand. That was perhaps the trickiest suit to do, because although there are blades in our everyday life, they are not quite as copious as the wands, which can be found from everything from a pencil onwards really, but we don't tend to have blades all over the place. So it took a lot of effort trying to think of ways to incorporate the blades. Sometimes they're just as simple and subtle as a blade of grass in the Page of Blades, but he does actually have a sword on his t-shirt as well, just in case you need another cue there. But we'll come to the in-depth analysis of each card in another video, or lots of other videos, in fact 78 other videos probably. Anyway, so the Blade suit has got this dark purple colour, which gives a lovely contrast. I mean, it is the suit of air, and you could say, well, purple isn't very airy, but I couldn't really have another blue, which we've already got in the cups, so I chose the purple because it just works really well aesthetically with the cards, and with the whole overall way that they look together. And it is important because the tarot is just such a beautiful, seamless way of encompassing the whole of our earthly experience, really. And so the whole thing had to work as a piece together and be beautiful and pleasing to work with. So that's really why they look as they do. And I'm sorry if people still find the borders irritating, but I hope that you'll understand that it was better to have a border than to have, for instance, I think it was the 8 of coins, where if I'd have had them cropped, you would have only had 6 showing in the picture. So I hope you can make some allowances for this deck, because I'd worked so hard to have all the cues in every card, as many clues as possible, so that even if you're not a seasoned tarot reader, you'd be able to understand exactly what the cards mean just by looking at them. I wanted them to be very, very user-friendly without dumbing them down, and to keep the magic without making them mystical or arcane, so that they exclude people, because the whole ethos of this is warmly inclusive. It's meant to be part of our experience and not to be something that people feel that they can't enjoy because it's too esoteric. And yet I didn't want to make it so that it was, well, an idiot's guide really. I wanted to make it so that everybody could use it very easily, but not alienate people who have great respect for the tarot form, as do I. So there are the cards out of the box. Obviously there'll be lots more in-depth analysis so that I can share with you all of the symbolism and thoughts behind every card. Before I close this video, I'll just share with you what Schiffer has done with the book for the minor arcana, which I really love. And again, it sums up the very everyday ethos of each of the suits: blades, cups, coins, and the wand is a paintbrush sparkling with the energy of creation, which wands so beautifully communicates, hopefully, in this deck too. And in the book we've got the name and the subtitle for the suit of wands, playing with fire, and keywords for the whole suit and its element. Let's let this focus, if it will. Maybe it won't. I'm going to have to really learn how to use this camera better. I hope you'll bear with me while I do that. Yes, and every individual card has its own keywords too, as well as the black and white version and the description of the image and the symbolism, the story behind it, the character on the cards, in this case this lady that's painting, and the meaning of the card too. So there's my introduction, and before I close on this I'm just going to show you the card back of the Waking the Wild Spirit deck, so you can see that that also had this as above so below reversible aspect to it. I will be making other videos about this deck, but oh, that's not going to focus. There we go. I am hoping to revive this deck and redo it without the borders, because it had very intrusive borders around it, which I didn't realise at the time was going to be so irritating and take up so much space on the card. So when I do redo the deck, there will be no borders, which hopefully I can plan for ahead so that nothing gets cropped off. But for now, we're dealing with this deck and book set, which I hope you all agree is just as beautiful in its own way. Well, thank you for joining me in this video. I hope you'll come back for more soon, and bear with my camera skills, which I hope will improve. Anyway, please take care of each other and of yourselves and of all other beings that you encounter. Lots of love. Bye.